With Rossum, you can automate all your paperwork and ensure consistent error-free processes. Rossum understands documents in more than 270 languages. It intelligently validates, transforms, and enriches document information in line with your standard operating procedures and master data. And takes actions like sending emails, requesting approvals, and rejecting documents just like a person would, minimizing the paperwork that your team has to do while keeping them and you in the loop. Today, Rossum has processed $1.3 trillion worth of transactions, protecting companies from fraud and errors, helping them pay and ship on time, and digitalizing their processes. Rossum, changing how paperwork works.
In the first part of our demo, we will look at automating accounts payable process end-to-end. What does it mean? We will look at how Rossum can ingest various invoices and how it can automatically sort them into the right subprocess. Then, we will let Rossum extract data from invoices, match it against master data, and we will also let it reason about the transaction so that it can trigger various actions in the end. So let's hop into it. We will start by sending an email with several invoices to Rossum. First, let's see what I have sent there. I have sent several invoices. We have a US-based invoice, we have a Japanese invoice, another US invoice. We also have an invoice for Canadian subsidiary, and we have also an XML file which represents a European-based e-invoice. Now let's switch to Rossum. On the left side, we see workspaces and queues. The queues are major orchestration mechanism. Each queue defines a job to be done. You can imagine it like specific job roles, like in the real company, where you receive a post at the front desk, and the documents are routed to specific departments where dedicated teams process them. In this example, we see workspaces for accounts payable team in shared service center. We have a queue which acts like a global inbox, so all communication is routed there. And after that, it is routed to specific queues. This approach gives us the extreme flexibility that large enterprises need. Now, we see that even though I have sent a single email, the document got sorted to specific queues. Here, in the US non-PO queue, I see one document went straight through and is already waiting in the approval workflow. I can also directly open the email it arrived in, but here I have a document that is waiting for my review. I directly see that the problem is that it exceeds the PO threshold. So let's open the document first. Before we deep dive into the problem, let me give you a bit of walkthrough of this screen. This is our interactive validation screen. The sidebar captures full context of the transaction. It can have various data sources. Here, we have data directly captured from this document. Later on, I will show you how other data sources work. The screen is fully interactive, so I can see where the data was captured. Obviously, I can also edit it just by directly clicking into the document itself. The screen here includes only captured fields, but it's quite often that the data you need is not captured in a document. That's why Rossum has the ability to reason about the transaction. So for example, here in the line items, what we see is that Rossum has reasoned about the items. Here, it recognizes whether the item is goods or services. It also reasoned about the GL code and the cost center. So everything is already filled in, even though it was not written in a document. Rossum's reasoning capability was able to assign this. Like anything else, here in the screen, I can go and just edit it. And that data actually acts as a direct feedback to the AI. So if I change anything, the AI will react to my feedback. But back to our workflow. This document was blocked. Why? Well, it says that the amount due of $7,920 exceeds $5,000 and therefore needs a PO number. So I cannot process this document because it breaks my policy. I simply cannot push it to the approval. But what I can do is I can reject this document, and I can reject that directly by email. This email client has all the context it needs. So I can ask the AI to automatically generate the email for me and let the supplier know that I just cannot process this document and that they need to provide a PO number. I can just hit reject and send, and it would be automatically communicated to the supplier. So let's move on. Let's move on to the other queue. Here we have a PO bag documents. We see that I have 2 documents here for review, and I see that both documents actually include early payment discount. So I should better hurry. This time we can see a new data source in the sidebar beside the captured fields. We see what we call matched fields. Those data points were automatically pulled from the master data. So we can see that the order number was found and matched. We see that supplier terms were matched against the supplier master data as well. However, we can see here that the terms on the invoice are much more complex. It says that if we pay within 20 days, it offers 1% discount. Here, the system again reasoned about that and identified that 1% discount is available, and it also calculated what would be the money I could actually save. But we are blocked. I cannot process it. Why? Let me see. Here in the line items, it spotted a problem. It also did matching on the line item level, and it tells us that unit price 205 does not match the expected unit price of the PO, which is 300. This is just a warning, so I can still process the document and continue in the process. So I can just hit and push it to the system, because the amount is actually lower than the one on the PO, but it still worked me. Let's move on to other parts of the workflow. Let's move to Canadian document. Here we just see that the Canadian document was correctly routed, so it's good. Japanese. Here we see that the system also was able to extract the data in Japanese. Honestly, I don't speak Japanese, so I can't verify that. But what I can do is use this functionality where with one click, I can translate the document directly. This is super helpful for large shared service centers, which typically serve many countries. And we actually see a trend where they can now serve countries they couldn't serve before due to a language barrier. And finally, in the EU queue, if you remember, I have sent an XML file. If I open it, I can see a human-readable visualization and the data extracted. However, the data extracted are not linked to the document itself, and that's because the data was extracted directly from the XML file. And that's it. That was a super brief example of how you can automate the AP process. What we have seen here. We've classified and sorted incoming traffic. We've extracted information from documents. We matched against master data. We ran in-app translation, reasoned about the transaction, worked with emails, seamlessly ingested e-invoices, and we showcased how a human operator can quickly work with the system.